to yet another 213 crispy video, and today we are going to turn all of this into that. Now, first thing you're going to ask is, what is that? Well, that is a charging lead for your battery charger to connect to your battery pack that you're going to charge. But in the racing world, a lot of people do not take their batteries out of their buggies, so they like to leave the charger towards the back of their station on where they're working, and the buggies, for example, right here in front of me, and they want to leave the battery here, and you need to make a long lead to connect those. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make one of these today. The pieces and parts that I'm using for this is 12 gauge wire, some wire loom of your color and choice, heat shrink tubing, again, color of your choice, 4mm banana plugs from both ends to plug them in. I actually robbed these connectors and the 2S connector from my charging lead that came with my Gold Bat battery, so that's where this came into handy. And you're going to need, so all my connectors and stuff are inside this little bin here, and then you're going to need some solder and a hot soldering iron. So with that, let's set some of this stuff aside and let's start building. So first things first, you're going to need to know distance. How far do we want to make our charging leads? And that's kind of the magical question of, well, how long do you want to make it? So I'm going to make this thing as long as my desk that I'm currently working on. And that way it gives me enough room so that I'm going to go from there to here. So that length, honestly, I don't know off the top of my head, but let me go grab a tape measure real quick. It's literally 2 steps away. Okay. So distance with this is, let's make them 3 feet, so 36 inches. 36 inches is right there. These are 10-foot sections, so cable length is not an issue for me. Look for my wire cutters, because I had them out. There we go. So that's going to give me my positive and negative lead, and then now I need to come up with 3 other leads using a smaller gauged wire, and these 3 leads are for the sensor for the what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, brain fart moment. The leads coming off of your voltage for the positive, negative, and your sensor board. So I need 3 of these in the same length. I'm going to use the same color simply because that's what I have in my possession. So that's 1. Let's go back the other way. That's 2, and then 3. Okay, that's 3. So once you've got these three figured out cutting down our wire loom. This, I want to do, I don't know, we did what, 36 inches, so let's do 24 inches of this. This is going to be the center section of my wires going from one end to the other. I'm gonna do 24, which should be right there. This stuff is a little quirky to work with. A lot of people will use a lighter and kind of melt some of the plastic on some of the wire loom. I'm going to try it without it first, because I'm going to end up putting heat shrink around it anyway on the tips. See, that's what I was afraid of, is that is going to fall off. How's the other end look? It already fell off too. Well, that idea didn't work. Oh well. It's worth a shot. The other way you can tell is just by tugging on a wire. So, I want to fish these 5 wires through this wire loom. And this wire loom, I think is 3/8. I know it's going to be a tight squeeze to shove all these wires through. Take some time. There's no fancy way of doing this. So what I'm doing is feeling for the end, squeezing and pushing, letting go. So using these 2 hands, going to the end, squeeze, push, back towards my other hand, then letting go. And it's slowly working its way backwards. Just about out. So there we go. So now we've got 5 wires with 2 ends on them, and both of these ends have the same connectors. So one end is going to be the end that I plug into the charger, which I'm going to leave the shorter end towards this end, and then these longer leads I'm going to leave out to plug into the battery. So that is the concept of this. So the next step is figuring out wiring. How do you want to conceal and hide some of this? That is going to become personal preference, and everybody's going to do this a little differently. But what I am going to do is I'm going to use white as a cap on both ends, and that's to protect the sheathing from this end. And then I'm going to leave the black and heat shrink that in black. I'm going to take the red and I'm going to heat shrink that in probably red, and then I'm going to heat shrink this lead in white. So I'm going to have black, red, and white. That's the color combination of what I'm looking for. So, since this end is frayed, I'm not going to try squeezing this end that way. I'm going to go the long way with it, just because I think it's going to be a little bit easier to manage. Okay, come on. if I can get this heat shrink to cooperate. There we go. Takes a little bit of finagling, nothing crazy. So that, I'm going to slide down here, heat shrink that up, but I'm not going to do that yet. This is going to be like the last thing that we do, but it has to be one of the first steps, because when we go to do the ends, I want all of that to be tucked underneath all of this, and you won't be able to get all of that on once you start heat shrinking all of your leads together and everything else. So what I'm doing is fighting with trying to open up the heat shrink tubing like so with your fingers, and then slowly enter all your wire leads in. Same thing here. Kind of got to just work your way around slowly. Some people I've seen tape these up. I probably could have put some black tape around it. Probably would have made my life a little easier. But all in all, it's not that complicated. Come on. There we go. So there's that. So the next, like I was saying, next step is figuring out your leads for your positives and your negatives. So let's go ahead. I'm going to pull on this one, which is this lead over here. So these two are my positives here. So I'm going to take a full sheathing of heat shrink, shove that in, there we go. That's that. So I know that's my positive. That's my positive. Take these, shove them in. Probably would have worked better if I used a little bit bigger heat shrink, but unfortunately this is all I have. Now the black, I do have a little bit bigger, so let's go ahead and pick our black wire, which is this one, which is that one there. These are my negative terminals. So see how much easier it is using bigger gauge heat shrink. Let's pull that back a little bit more. Those are my negatives. That's that. Shove all of that in. And lastly, it's going to be our sensor wire, which, like I said, I'm making white. Which is that one. And that one. So let me get this squeezed on down here. Okay, there's that. So I'm happy with the location on these three, and I want them lined up as close as possible to make these as uniform as I can. So next step is to start heat shrinking these three. So turn heat gun on and start shrinking away. Just got that part of it done. Go ahead and slide that on down. Which should be about half. About right there. So that's that. Repeat the same process on the other end. Line all three up. And lastly, slide our cap back on, stretch the wire loom out a little bit. So stretching the wire loom gets rid of any of the kinks, any of that craziness. Slide that on down and shrink it up. And that is basically the gist of it. So I'm not going to bore you on the soldering side of things, but I'm going to explain it and then I'm going to bring it back and show you. So the longer leads I want to use for the battery end. So this end is going to have a banana plug on it with both of these soldered to it. This end is also going to use a banana plug, which apparently I just lost one somehow. So we're going to use this same banana plug on this side. And then lastly, this plug will have the sensor wire that plugs into the battery, and then I'm going to put another heat shrink tube on this one. And then once I'm going to put more heat shrink on this to extend these all the way out as well. And then this end will have the other type of banana plug on both ends of these leads, and then the small leads that are coming off of it, I'm going to attach to this lead, which would be the positive to the positive, negative, negative, and then the center wire will be the lead for that. And then I'll put heat shrink tubing on all of this as well. So that is how you make a sensor, or not a sensor, but a extended charging lead for your battery. I'll bring you guys back once I have all this soldered up, and I will explain it again. That way you guys have full detail of just exactly what's going on. I'll be right back, guys. Now that I brought you guys back, you're going to notice there's a pair of them. That's right. So I'm using a dual bank charger, the Hi-Tech X6, and I am racing and will be manning or crew chiefing a second car, which is my stepson's. So I needed 2 charger leads. The second one I boogered up a little bit on the sheathing, but I'm okay with it. I think it came out pretty good. The first one we made, which we made together, was 3 foot. The second one I made is 5 foot, so it's a little bit longer. But to give you an idea of what I was referring to earlier, on one end, which this is the end that's going to plug into your buggy, so let me pull my buggy down. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So this is your buggy sitting on your workbench, and you want to charge it. You hook up your leads, positive, negative, into this, just like so. Then you need your balance lead to plug in, which will plug in the top. And then you take the other end, which has your positive and your negatives, which will plug into your battery charger. And then I've got the balance lead that I can plug into the balance board, which sits up by the charger. So this way I don't have to worry about fighting with making sure that my buggy is like really close to my charger. I've got a 5 foot cord on one end and a 3 foot cord on the other, so I can stagger whoever's farther away, which will probably be me, honestly. But that is how you make a charging lead, and that'll work for any of your chargers, iChargers. It does not matter. So a little bit of time, material cost. I bought the 10 foot of red and black 12 gauge wire off of Amazon. It was 10 bucks. I already had the 2S charge balance lead off of 2 existing batteries that I already own, so I stole these off of those, so that cost me nothing. The banana plugs I stole off of the same charger, so those cost me nothing. The ends that plug into the battery, this one came off of one charger, so did the balance lead, and this is the only thing that I had to buy separate, which was 90-degree fittings. Those were, I already had them, so I mean, they are, what are they? Oh, they're Macklin battery terminals is what those are. And then I already had that small lead. All of the heat shrink you've seen, I already had, besides the big stuff, which I bought for the green and the white. That pack was $3, and the 25-foot spool of 3/8 wire loom I had purchased at Parts Express as well. This was like 10 bucks. So we'll say 20. For $25, you can make 2 or 3 leads, depending on length and so forth. Most people are only going to need 2. So for $20, instead of buying one for $25 or $30, I was able to make 2 for less than 20 bucks. Realistically, like I said, it's 15, 18 bucks. I am happy with the way that these came out. They will last me probably forever, and I wanted lime green because that's the color scheme that I'm going to be running on my buggy. I just kind of want everything to flow together and kind of gel and look cohesive. I don't want some like bright blue, like for example, I don't want this blue wire loom when I'm gonna run a green body. It's just gonna look stupid. But yeah, like I said, I made a little mistake on the wire loom. It's frayed from about there back to here. It is what it is. It's not the end of the world. It's not going to affect the performance at all, but this is going to make my life a lot easier when it comes to charging my batteries in the pits, and I wanted to use a good gauge wire. I almost thought about using 10 gauge, but I think it was probably overkill. Probably going to push maximum of 20 amps through this. So yes, I will have a charger review coming up soon, so you guys keep an eye out for that. I am probably will be making that in a day or two. But yeah, with that, we're going to wrap this video up. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you had a wonderful and fantastic day. Hope you learned something about how to make a balancing charging lead for your chargers. And get out and guys go race some RCs or go bash them, whatever you guys want to do. But with that, we're going to wrap this video up. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful and fantastic day.